This is a Ben Frank Connection presentation.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to a new episode of ABJ Presents Tornado Tag, episode 113. You heard it here. You heard it here correct. We are now numbered episodes. The Tornado Tag is part of the ABJ podcast under a Presents banner. Myself, ABJ, joined by my amazing co-host, BP Burke, as we're going to take you through this journey of Tornado Tag. No tag ropes needed, even though I think we do a pretty good job of staying on track. But tonight we are reviewing WrestleMania 15. If you are listening on the audio platform later on, or if you're watching this live on YouTube at the Anthony Blackwell Jr. channel, it's also live on Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter. Or
if you are watching live on YouTube, yes, I am being held hostage. Yes, they are taking very good care of me. I'm safe. I am fine.
Yeah, Brian,
it's a lighting joke.
Yeah, he has a lighting joke for the people listening to the audio to make sure everything's on the up and up. But yeah, so this is going to be airing. You can listen to the ABJ podcast while you're driving, while you're doing things on all audio platforms, Spotify, Google, Apple Podcasts, the whole nine. We are now currently ranked in the top 250 of wrestling podcasts in North America. We just got bumped out of Australia, which is cool. But at one point in time, BP, we were ranked in the top 250 in Australia and in the top 150 in North America. And that's because people are listening, people are supporting. Those 5-star ratings are coming in. Let us know if you leave a review, because some certain platforms I can't see, but if you tell me you left a review, I will see it. You'll just let me know. I will go actively see it so we can read them on the show. But man, this is growing. We're getting there. The YouTube side of things, we're closing in on 1,000 subscribers, which, you know, man, you've been around me for 6 years. It has been a journey. This is the 6th channel I've tried. And we're literally 150 watch hours away from hitting monetization. So we can do cool things where people can support and do live donations and live chats. They can do membership programs. We are going to figure out some cool membership perks that you guys can do. If you subscribe, you get bonus points. I got to figure out even what we get when we get to that point. And then we're on the quest for 4,000 watch hours, where we get paid because they're going to add ads to the channel. So if you're on YouTube and if they play a commercial, we get paid for that commercial, which is kind of cool. So we're growing. Like, it's been 6 years, and I can make a couple bucks on this content thing.
And to make sure we get those 150 watch hours, we will be talking about WrestleMania 15 for 150 hours.
You guys are locked in for a 150-hour stream. We're going nonstop. No, we're not doing that. I don't think I could talk about this show.
No.
It's something else. Before we get into the main topic, if this is your first time listening, we will get to the topic in one moment. We'd like to do a couple minutes of just banter in the beginning, plug some stuff, as well as talk about what's going on in current day wrestling, and then we will get into the topic. We promise we won't keep you long. We're just giving you a little idea of if it's your first time listening or first time tuning in. So BP, let's get this out of the way first. What do you want to plug? What do you want to talk about?
Well, we are T-minus 7 days away from PPW Born to Run, which will be a week from tonight, Saturday, March 9th at the Slatington Expo Center. I don't know if it's going to be live on Premier Streaming Network, but if it's not live, it will be on Premier very shortly.
You're going to have a hat in your back pocket, Born to Run?
I could. I think I might be infringing on Big Dan Champion's gimmick if I do that.
I think
Big Dan has been leaning, even before the name of this show came up, Big Dan has been leaning hard into the Springsteen stuff lately. He's really into it. He's hitting the big 4-0 very soon. He's gonna have a big party down in Philadelphia the week of WrestleMania. But yeah, so we got a big one going on. It's interesting. The main event, normally the PPW title defended in the main event, but our champion Adrian Soriano will be challenging for the trios title. Earn the right. Primal Fear versus the Syndicate. Sam Adams and the Brothers Gray for the Syndicate's trios title. We also have some other great, I think the show still is going to be Facade against Diego Hill. If you don't know Diego Hill from the Carolinas, that one is going to blow the doors off the place. Danny Moe and Harleen Lopez for the PPW women's title is going to be a big one. We're going to see Journey Burke making her second appearance in PPW as well. Ricky Price and Counter Price is going to be there. A lot of friends of ABJ, Rembrandt, of course. So many, too many to count.
Yeah. So I was just at a taping for High Tension Wrestling at Cheeseburger School. BP, I'm gonna tell you something right now. High Tension, look out.
Right on.
That locker room when we were doing a private taping, it was everyone who was there that day, even if you were a fan or people who never experienced High Tension before, or even the people who have experienced it. It feels like Camp Leapfrog again. Like that Camp Leapfrog vibe is being reborn. What a great taping. I can't wait for everyone to see it. I got 9 pieces of content. I filmed 5 questions with ABJ, and I did change it up a little bit with some new style and some new flair. I can't wait for people to see it. But man, keep a lookout. And just also support the Worldwide Dojo on YouTube as well as High Tension on YouTube. Subscribe to their channels. They put a lot of good wrestling content, and it's all free on YouTube.
And who doesn't love CB? Who doesn't love CB either?
Well, Nasty Leroy doesn't, but they're watching the beast for me. You know what I mean? For me, Nasty Leroy is he's gonna. I talked. He joins the chat a lot, and he's a funny guy. But and CB students are just so good. There's so many good kids at that school. Dude, wait till you see the Wild LLC. They're on a whole new level. Ethan Wild is adding a whole nother layer to that character.
Always been a fan of Dr. Wire.
Journey Burke is now inserted in there as their lawyer, and she's killing it. Like Brian Ace looks like a different human being. He lost so much weight. He's tan. He looks great. He's a hunk. Kid's a hunk. They're killing it. I can't wait for people to watch that tape.
That's exciting to hear. I got to see speaking of some people that are training with CB, I got to see the Lost Boys last night. That was a lot of fun.
They wrestle each other, right?
Yeah, it was a 4-way with all 4 of the Lost Boys going head to head. Unbeknownst to them, they thought they were going to be in like an 8-person tag or something like that, but it wound up just being the Lost Boys against one another with Miles Penn coming out the winner.
Just recently was a guest on the podcast. Really cool stuff. This week in wrestling, unfortunately, we lost some people.
Unfortunately, we lost 3 people. They say they come in threes. I don't always believe that, but this week it was true. It started with the passing of Ole Anderson, the original Rock, as they say, because one of his original ring names was Rock Rogowski, but then was adopted into and became a brother of the Andersons, Gene and Lars, before Arn did the same. And Ole Anderson. I think to really delve deeply into Ole Anderson, he would be deserving of his own episode just because of his impact as a founding member of the Four Horsemen. Sadly, the first founding member of the Four Horsemen to pass away, and also as a promoter. He was a very successful promoter in Georgia Championship Wrestling, one of the top territories. So I think it would be more about Ole Anderson in Georgia, because then we can throw in the Gunkles, the big war for Atlanta, and we can even talk about the WWF Takeover and Black Saturday. So I don't know if we do it next week or if we do it maybe sometime soon.
Well,
but
I know. Well, Ole, we'll put in Ole. What was the one you talked about? That you wanted?
Crusher.
The Crusher. But you said you need more time with that one.
Oh no, that it would be its own episode. But no, we can do that next week if you want.
Yeah, Crusher. And what was there was an error that you're still doing research on?
I'm just on a kick of the pioneer era of wrestling. If I did something with that, it would be about this thing called the National Police Gazette, which was this old school magazine and newspaper. Stephen Chambers and Terramoni. It reminded me, if we're doing the Crusher, it'd be the Crusher and Dick the Bruiser.
Okay.
As a combo. The King of Chicago and the man who made Milwaukee famous. But yeah, some old school wrestling, the National Police Gazette, and its impact on the very, very, very proto days of professional wrestling, the infancy of what became professional wrestling. It's a wild story. That'll be a fun one.
Yeah, so we'll add that for next week, Crusher and Dick the Bruiser, and then we'll do Ole after that. And then listen, anyone in the chat, if you're here live, you have the exclusive where you can say it before anyone else. If you have any other topics or something you want to learn about, put it in the chat. I know Sting is ending his career this weekend. We already did a part 1 of Sting. Maybe we do our part 2 soon.
Oh yeah, we did part 1 of Sting in a car. I remember that.
We did in a car ride. Yeah. Which I don't know if it's on this. Is it on this channel? What did we do? Yeah, it was part of this channel.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that was We were on our way to a.
I don't think the audio is up, but you can watch the YouTube video. So maybe we'll just do like a history. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we were on our way to a trivia thing in West Reading. Yeah, that was when
dominated.
Yes, yes, we did. We got a lot of cool stuff from
Gavin,
one of our buddies. Yep,
for our brother.
So just real quick, Ole Anderson was the first news to hit, and then we talked about, I think everybody knows Virgil, of course. Virgil, especially if you live around where we live, and before I got here, Virgil was a fixture at the local mall for quite a while. He had there it is.
So that photo was taken before. So anyone who's listening to the audio, there's a photo of myself, my little brother, and Virgil. That's when our mall was still popular, but there was an era where the mall wasn't, and he was there for like 3 months. Every single day there for 3 months. I don't know if he was living in the area or what.
From what I understand, he had a small house in Deer Lake.
Okay. And I used to just go to work, and then I'd be on my break, and I'd be just bored at the mall, and I'd be like, I'm a wrestling fan. I'm just gonna talk. Like I swear to you, if there's anyone in this business that I have met more than anyone, it's Virgil. And more conversations with, and had sat down with, and just chat, because you're there for 3 months at the Schuylkill Mall, you see the same 50 people like your first 3 days. So yeah, I would just chat with him all the time. He was always super nice. I would say though, like I would be like, a lot of the shit he's telling me is probably bullshit, or I thought he was crazy, and maybe he wasn't bullshitting, and you just don't know.
Wrestlers and tall tales go hand in hand. It's part of it, and some of them are true. That's a wonderful thing.
There's some things he told me that then later on stories came out. I'm like, I don't think Virgil was fucking lying. I just thought he was crazy.
It is one of those stranger than fiction industries, professional wrestling, for sure.
Yes, very much so. But yeah, Virgil was we just talked about Virgil on WrestleMania 5, and then we lost him a couple of days later. Yeah,
and then somebody we talked about last week. In fact, we were saying he's the one that's still alive but no longer. Paul Butcher Vachon, the adoptive father of Luna Vachon, did pass away. I believe yesterday it was announced. I don't know if he actually passed yesterday.
Yeah.
But part of the Vachon wrestling family. I think he's probably most famous these days for when he had a angle in the early days of the WWF becoming the WWF, the Vince McMahon Jr., Vincent J. McMahon takeover, or Vincent K. McMahon, takeover. And there was that show Tuesday Night Titans, which was a talk show. It was very personality driven, old school. The wrestling people hated it. And one of the most infamous things they did on Tuesday Night Titans was Butcher Vachon's wedding. So that's probably what he's most known for these days. But yeah, Butcher Vachon did pass away.
In the chat, a request here: Bret Hart's career. I'll allow it.
Bret Hart has had a remarkable career,
and I know you're a Bret guy, so
I do have a healthy respect for Bret Hart. I certainly do.
I'm cool with that as a topic in the future. I don't hate it. I wrote it down as a future one.
We have to do then the week after that, we just have to do a whole show about how we hate Goldberg.
Yeah. Goldberg did one cool thing his whole career, and that was that super kick.
That was giving a man ultimately a stroke. Yes. It's super cool.
Listen, I'm not saying the injury is cool. I'm just saying that, Bret Hart's so bitter about it to this day.
Ended one of the most storied, successful careers in the history of professional wrestling. Way to go, Bill. You did it.
He didn't do it on purpose. It happens. It's not ballet.
Well, especially when you're Goldberg and you're clumsy.
It could be a great episode.
Bill Goldberg is a stinking hyena.
The Armstrong family, another one that was put in the chat.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
Did you watch Iron Claw yet?
No, I don't really have a movie theater very close to me. I'm waiting for it to go on the stream. I know it's on like pay streaming now, but it's on you have to buy it. I think I'm waiting to the one where you basically can just rent it for like $4.
I'll tell you what, I haven't seen it yet either. I have a way to watch it. Someone gave me access to an account that I can see their version of it. Sorry, people out there. I'm poor. People hook me up. The day you're able to watch it, tell me. I'll watch it, and we'll do it won't be a Not Cool in High School. We'll do a Tornado Tag episode of our review of the movie Iron Claw.
Yeah, but that doesn't have to do with the Armstrongs, but
yeah, sure. I'm just saying, the family is what sparked the Iron Claw to me. China, another one that was just put in the chat. I'll write that one down too.
Well,
if we met her the week before she passed away, we're talking about China tonight. She had a role in tonight's show.
Prominent role. If we're talking about the Armstrongs, we definitely have to talk about The wealth when Bob Armstrong turned heel in Alabama in Continental, and he said he had a wealthy older woman who was and now that I talk about it, the name right, and I remember it was Gracie May Titwaller or Gracie Lou Titwaller.
Titwaller.
Titwaller, yeah.
Great name.
Or no, Fannie Mae Titwaller. That was the Gracie
Fannie Mae Titwaller.
Yeah, that was from that movie Miss Congeniality. Yeah, Fannie Mae Titwaller.
Oh,
like
Ryan Vox said Brad Armstrong is one of my top 5 favorites. Maybe throw Mr. Vox on an episode.
A very, very underrated wrestler, Brad Armstrong. But yeah, if you look up some old Bob Armstrong heel promos, this one goes out to Fannie Mae Titwaller. Solid gold, baby, you and me.
Anything else? So other things going on in wrestling this week. Elimination Chamber has come and gone since our last episode. Was not a bad episode show. I actually enjoyed it. I thought I liked the 4-5 match card. I thought it flowed very well. I thought the booking was really well.
A little shorter. I enjoyed it because I fast forwarded through a lot. Of not wrestling.
Yeah. It's funny because tonight we're going to talk about one thing that the WWE didn't do at all in this show, but they do too much of it now, and that's recapping. No recaps.
Yeah.
You know, so I know Parmesan from the Opinion City was watching, and he's like, bro, I don't remember any of these storylines.
I do,
they don't tell you any of them leading up. So you kind of come if you're watching this for the first time, maybe it sparks some memories, but for the most part, if you came in blind, you're like, I have no idea what's happening.
Yeah, and it's a tough balance. Like you want to make sure that I guess they assumed back then, and now they don't. Oh, if you're buying WrestleMania, you're watching the show.
Yeah,
and back then it was true because back then you would have like 7. Well, no, that's not really true. You would have back then a good 5-6 million people would watch Raw every week. This was at the height of the Attitude Era WrestleMania, or not the height, but it's
closing in.
Like through 1998 is when WWE WWF took the lead, and then 99 is when they pull away from WCW, and it's pretty much off to the races at that point.
We will be live tomorrow night for a hangout. Hopefully, I'm going to try. I do have a possible way to watch the pay-per-view. We're going to test everything out later on tonight.
Right on.
But it should be live tomorrow for a hangout for Revolution. So if you want to watch along while you're watching on TV,
hang on 1 second. I'll be right back. I apologize.
You're good. I'll bump you out real quick here. But if you want to hang out with us while we do Revolution, I will be here live. So we'll be covering Revolution. That's also tomorrow. Sting's final match. I'm not super excited about it. It is what it is, but that's going to be a pay-per-view. I'm trying to think of anything else wrestling news-wise. If something pops up that I forgot, please tell me. Just give me a thumbs up when you're good then. All right, perfect. But yeah, so is there anything wrestling news-wise that's
other than the Sting retirement? Not especially, no.
Yeah. Video game comes out soon if that's a thing for you. I heard I'm actually super excited for it. Unfortunately, I don't have the money to get it. So buy some t-shirts, do some donations, and I can grab the game. My plan is to get the game and then stream it. And then when I had my job, I should have pre-ordered it and paid for it, but I didn't. So that's on me. But once I get it, I will start streaming it. That will be video game content for the channel.
I've heard you can marry Gigi Dolan in story mode.
Really?
Yeah.
I also heard
I saw Zachary Wentz made a joke about finishing the story.
Oh, that's great. I also seen that Disturbed's Stone Cold song is in the game because that's the song that was used. Yeah, so that supposedly some songs that people are clamoring for that are going to be in the game.
Steve
Austin, they said they did really good. They did ring announcers, like all the ring announcers were scanned. Like they did a lot of really good
how are they
small
gonna do
details.
That? How are they doing that when Howard Finkel is dead and he did most of them?
No, I'm talking about modern day ones. Like,
okay.
They scanned like the NXT, all the main roster people. Like they're putting fine details into the game that weren't there before. Like people are really excited for this year's game.
I do wonder how they get around that WrestleMania 17 where Austin used that, because are they gonna have Steve Austin win with help from and then toast beers with an unknown man?
Maybe we'll see.
All
I know is the ladder match.
They're doing the refs and some of those things.
The ladder matches in the game. I'm pumped. Razor Shawn ladder matches in the game.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So
a match we covered a few weeks ago. Rick Rude and the Ultimate Warriors in there, and the Mega Powers Explode.
Yeah, both in the game. Super excited. All right, well, let's get into our topic. We hit that mark. I think we're good. WrestleMania 15. This is randomized by a number generator, and it gave us the last time Manny was in Philadelphia. Take it in now, Brian. There's a little bit of a green, a little bit of a white. You know what I mean? We got.
Yep.
I threw the Eagles colors up, the Philly colors for you. All right, I'm just putting it out there for my respect and love for you, and for this episode, the you know what I mean.
This was 1999. The Eagles were not very good. Although this was around the time, if we want to put a date on this, if we want to really, I just want to make sure that's nice and front and center there. If we really want to put a date on this is around the time, if I'm not mistaken. I'm trying to do the math in my head. It might have been the year before the Eagles hired Andy Reid. I want to say Andy Reid's first year as Eagles head coach was 1999.
Wow. Well, the show starts off with a shot of the crowd, and first thing I know, I tell Lily in the thing, I was like, look
that
at the
guy,
sign.
right?
Yeah. No, the signs, the sign coverage in the
just
90s,
all over the place. I had a sign, and I was up in the upper level.
Yes, everyone had signs.
Yeah,
so I think what was your sign?
I forget. I don't even remember.
You made a sign and don't remember?
Probably something about Austin or something.
Austin 316.
I don't think. I probably was a little more creative than that, but
I want sign coverage like that back again. That was
I don't think they want it because it messes with people's view. Now, I was actually somewhat lucky here. I was at WrestleMania 99, and I was in what they call in that building. This is at this point, I think it was the Wells. No, it would have been Andy Reid would have. This was Andy Reid was the coach, but he hadn't coached yet.
Yeah, someone in the chat put up Andy Reid 99. So yep.
Yeah. So at this point, that building I believe was still called the First Union Center, the FU Center, perfect for Philadelphia, and. So the upper level there is called the mezzanine. You have the lower level, the floor, obviously lower level luxury boxes, and then above the luxury boxes is what's called the mezzanine section. It's the upper ring.
Is this the Wells Fargo Arena?
Yeah, it's the same building.
Yeah,
it's the same building that's there right now. And so the seat I had was on the very first level of that upper ring. It was the first level of the mezzanine. Nice. And if you want to talk about inflation, this was in 1999, and that seat was $75. And now to park, it's probably $75.
Yeah. But we're gonna start off the show with Boyz II Men doing America the Beautiful.
So everybody can be quiet about them doing it this time because they already did it. Get the Roots.
Do it again. Well, get the Roots, but I still think Motown Philly should be used at some point in time during the show. But
yeah, sure.
Where does this rank of one of the best America the Beautifuls? I thought they killed it. I thought it was done really well.
I never paid much attention to them. My two favorites were Willie Nelson at WrestleMania 7. But my overall favorite, it wasn't because of the way it was done, was WrestleMania 8 when Tito Santana's sister did the America the Beautiful.
Okay. I enjoyed Boyz II Men version of America the Beautiful.
Yeah, Boyz II Men's fine. Yeah, Boyz II Men's good.
And then we got a really good opening show promo video for Classy Freddie Blassie of him talking and narrating.
They do that a lot.
I thought it was really good. I really liked it.
They did something like that a few years later with the Invasion. And I don't know, I think Blassie was starting to get, his health was really starting to fade at that point. But I think they had Vince or somebody, or even it might have even been Steve Austin right before he turned again and joined the Alliance. But they had somebody give this rousing speech in the locker room for Team WWF, and then Blassie stood up and rattled his cane. So they would go to Blassie because Blassie had the voice, Blassie knew how to talk. Mm-hmm. There is this is a legend. And I don't know how true this is or untrue it is, but there is this legend that Muhammad Ali learned a lot of his, back when he was still Cassius Clay, took a lot of his patter, a lot of not what he said, but how he said it, from being at a radio station to do an interview, and he heard these two wrestlers on before him, and he always thought the guy he heard that he was taking his patter from was Gorgeous George, and he would always give Gorgeous George credit for it, and that might be true. But some people think it was actually Blassie because Blassie and Gorgeous George were the two guys being interviewed.
Yeah, but it was such a good way to start. And then we get our first match, and it's going to be the first ever hardcore title match and how apropos that it was in Philadelphia.
Well, it wasn't the first hardcore title match.
How first hardcore match
at WrestleMania.
First WrestleMania hardcore title match. Yes.
Yeah, because the hardcore title had been like, it was Mankind had it, Boss Man had it, Road Dogg had it. It had been around a little bit, but
we're gonna get Al Snow taking on Hardcore Holly and Billy Gunn. So real quick, I'll throw it to Lily here. Quick, you're used to she's never seen badass Billy Gunn. She's only seen Mr. Ass. She hasn't seen Mr. Ass. She's only seen Billy Gunn, the Gunn's dad. She's seen Daddy Ass. Yeah. What was your impression of young Billy Gunn?
I really appreciated the shirt that said, what did it say?
You're checking out my
you're checking out
check out my ass.
Yeah. That was great. But honestly, the amount overall for the WrestleMania itself, I would like to say the amount of hair that I didn't know these people had.
Oh, she's seen Triple H for the first time with hair.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
That was something. But also,
wait until we get to an old WCW show.
Oh, she's seen Shawn with hair.
Yeah,
I've seen quite a few people that I was like, wow, look at these luscious locks. But Billy Gunn was one of them too. Like, man, look at that. Look at the mane on that guy.
Yeah. Billy Gunn, always a stud. Always a stud.
Wait until we watch some like early 90s WCW and we get stunning Steve Austin out there.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, are you going to tell me that Steve Austin has had hair?
Long hair.
Long blonde hair, yes. Long blonde hair. Yep.
Honestly, I love when she comes to visit and I get to put on wrestling documentaries because she's so fresh. I've never had a kid. I never will have a kid, but it's almost like, well, come sit down and enter this new world. You know what I mean? It's like showing someone your favorite movie for the first time. Like it's fun. It's really, really fun. But so show Lily the early Billy Gunn tag team smoking guns.
Oh yeah, like mustache too. Billy Gunn. Yeah, mustache Billy Gunn.
Yeah,
we're adding way too much hair.
There's a lot going on. I actually forgot to pull up the Wikipedia for this because I usually do when we start. I run down the
card.
Not the card, but the some other facts. Wrestling 15 is literally what I just put in. I don't know why I did that. But this one, real quick, just to circle back, was obviously a WWF, now WWE, took place March 28th, 1999, in the First Union Philadelphia Center in Pennsylvania. There was 10 professional wrestling matches were scheduled on the events card. Ticket sales were 20,276 and drew a grossing of $1,437,050. The story going into it was Stone Cold versus Rock in a no disqualification match for the title. I'm trying to think of anything else.
Well, I do have a
the tagline. The tagline for tonight's pay-per-view.
Yes.
The raging climax.
It's the Attitude Era, baby. It's the Attitude Era.
We are full and buy rate 800,000 is what they're saying for North America.
That's a pretty big one.
Yeah.
The WWF was super hot at this point.
Yeah,
super hot at this point. Steve Austin is one of the biggest stars in the country at this point.
Mm-hmm. There was a match on the pre-show. There was a pre-show match that actually had Owen Hart and Jeff Jarrett on commentary. I believe also Ivory or Terry Runnels was on commentary for a little bit there. We had one of the people we got to work with, Kevin Kelly, was our backstage correspondent for this show. And then during the pre-show, Jacqueline with Terry Runnels defeats Ivory and D'Lo Brown by pinfall. They got 1 minute and 23 seconds. So that was a barn burner.
I believe some of this stuff was on Sunday Night Heat. This is when Sunday Night Heat would be on before a pay-per-view.
Ivory was burned by a cigar, which they talked about later on, but only commentary talked about it because they didn't show. D'Lo Brown and Tess won a battle royal. They beat Draws and the Godfather because they eliminated each other, and they were then they were still fighting each other because it was the last two remaining would be partners.
It was
I don't understand.
So
yeah, something crazy like that.
It's a battle royal where the last two guys left get tag title shots tonight.
Yeah,
so everyone will
kill each other. Yeah,
they get to do a trope that wrestling likes to do for every once in a while, and they were doing it a lot for a bit. Here is the tag partners who hate each other. Yeah. Is a very common wrestling trope.
Yeah. And if you like long, drawn out barn burner matches, WrestleMania 15 is not for you. Because we'll run down some of these times, and oh boy.
Well, I don't know the time on Triple H and Kane, but it felt like 3 hours.
Triple H and Kane. Not the longest match in the card, but the second longest.
I was gonna say the longest is probably Austin Rock, right?
Yeah, but not by much.
Yeah. Triple H and Kane, they could have cut some of that and given it to the other matches.
Yeah.
Triple
So
H
our
hogging
first
the Mania times even early on.
Yeah, so Hardcore Holly is gonna defeat Billy Gunn and Al Snow by pinfall. Al Snow actually takes the pin here. Al Snow's first WrestleMania, and this one was gonna go 7 minutes and 6 seconds for a triple threat.
So Billy Gunn hits the Famouser, which I guess is very new because they're kind of explaining. He calls that the Famouser.
Yeah.
But Hardcore Holly breaks it up and then throws Billy Gunn out and gets the pin. This is very early on in Bob Holly being Hardcore Holly.
Yeah.
Because he was kind of seen as, because it became like a real thing, like, oh, he's hardcore, he's a tough guy. But it was kind of a joke at this point because
they're still calling him Sparkplug in the like audience.
Because for the longest time, he's Sparky Plug, Bob Holly. And then the year before this, he was part of the very short-lived New Midnight Express, managed by Jim Cornette. It was Bombastic Bob, which is Bob Holly, and Bodacious Bart Gunn.
Yeah,
and they were the New Midnight Express. Not for long though.
Yeah, not a bad match. I thought all three guys were good workers. I thought it was fine.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything insane. I didn't think the match was terrible. I tried. I don't think I did it for this match.
One of the stories here too is Billy Gunn winds up. It's that the New Age Outlaws were kind of dipping their feet in the singles competition, and Road Dogg was in the mix for the hardcore title. Billy Gunn was in the mix for the Intercontinental title, and then they just flipped tracks, and Billy Gunn won the hardcore title. Road Dogg won the Intercontinental title, and that's how they come into Mania.
Yeah. Anything on this match that stood out to you? Anything you want to talk about?
It was a generic brawl. The Flyers were a lot more popular back then. Yeah. I don't think there's going to be any Let's Go Flyers chance at WrestleMania 40 unless Gritty comes out. Yeah. But they were loving well, this is the Flyers. If I'm thinking back to 1999, this is the not the heyday, but the kind of end of Eric Lindros's run as a top guy there. And yeah, they were super over. They were super over when they brought out that hockey stick.
Unprotected chair shot to the top of the head.
Oh, it's the Attitude Era. Yeah, you're gonna see a lot of those.
Ooh, tough to watch.
Yeah,
tough to watch. All right, well, that was the first one. I don't know if there's any skits in between this, so if I missed a skit, I do apologize. I have some stuff written down that I thought was kind of.
Yeah, but, so do I. I think the only thing I have is also everyone was really over. They were hot crowd, at least here.
Oh yeah, they were super into this match. Like when Billy Gunn comes out, they don't have Road Dogg do the intro, right, and all I hear is and the whole crowd goes, "Oh, you didn't know?" Like the crowd did it. Yeah, so it was a hot crowd.
Unless you were around, you do not. I still say to this day, and it didn't last very long. It was only for because they kept breaking them up. They kept doing this other stuff. They wanted to push Billy Gunn as a single, but there was a point in time from the middle of 1998 until about this point. I don't think there has been a team in the WWE that was as over as the New Age Outlaws were for that 6-7 months.
I think the only thing that ever comes close when it comes to crowd reaction, participation, and crowd doing a New Age Outlaw bit ever since, and they still weren't as over as talent, was Enzo and Cass.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
Enzo and Cass could literally have a microphone.
Yeah, Enzo could not talk, and it's just that they never. For one thing, the WWE never got behind them like they got behind the Outlaws. I think that's a huge part of it.
Yeah,
but yeah,
New Age Outlaws were probably bigger than DX at one point in time. Like they were huge.
They were a huge part of DX being as big as it was.
Yeah, they definitely
especially post Shawn.
Probably not as much respect as they probably should have gotten in DX. Like in retrospect, now you look back, you're like, man, New Age was over. Like they were so good. Road Dogg was insanely over. And we'll get to know Road Dogg later, but so many weed references. I didn't realize how pro weed Road Dogg was on camera.
I think if I'm thinking back to the show, I think I may have worn that Road Dogg shirt to this WrestleMania.
Really? I never had a Road Dogg. I always wanted a Road Dogg shirt. I always wanted a Mr. Ash shirt. Never had it.
Never had a Mr. Ash shirt, but I did have a Road Dogg.
They said in the chat, fantasy match, who wins? New Age Outlaws. They beat Enzo and Cass all day.
Yeah. Big
Cass is big, but Billy Gunn's also a fucking giant.
Yeah, Billy Gunn is not that. I think Billy Gunn's a lot closer to Cass than Enzo is to Road Dogg.
Yeah, I totally agree. Road Dogg, the New Age Outlaws in their prime beat Enzo and Cass, but Mike to Mike in their prime, I'd love to watch it. I'd love to watch it.
Enzo knew how to grab
Alright,
that
next.
crowd like very few people could.
Yeah. He'll
I
still
say
go down
like
as
he's
one
not
of the
still
most.
doing stuff. Enzo's a very
Yeah, he's still,
charismatic man.
and he can still, he's still very charismatic, still killing it. So we're gonna get our next match here. We're gonna get a tag team match with Owen Hart and Jeff Hardy as the champions.
Jeff Jarrett.
With Deborah. What did I say? I said Jeff Hardy. Jeff Jarrett, sorry. With Deborah, because holy Hannah.
Speaking of over.
Deborah is way over. And they're gonna face D'Lo Brown and Test with Ivory.
So speaking of shirts, Test had an interesting shirt here with a handgun on it and says, "Guns don't kill people, I kill people."
Yeah.
So yeah, this is interesting because Test is very, very new at this point. So I said I had something mentioned about the ticket sales with this show. So I was at this WrestleMania and
Ryan Vox in fact, Road Dogg is an Armstrong.
Yep.
Of course, it's great. Yeah,
Ryan Armstrong for sure. The stretch arms. In fact, that pump handle did used to be called the Stretch Armstrong.
Yeah.
So I was at this WrestleMania and it was
real quick timeout. A long time ago, we did it in your house. I want to feel like Road Dogg pulled off a crazy top rope move that like you would never do today.
He hit a pile driver off the top rope. Yeah,
that's
he
what
gave
it
like
was.
1, 2, 3, hit a pile driver off the top rope. Oh, those Armstrong boys can go. Those Armstrong boys can go.
I remember one time like Road Dogg just did a top. It was a pile driver, a top rope pile driver. I was like, what the?
Not just the danger for the guy, but you're doing an ass bump from the top rope. That's gonna kill your back.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So the way this show sold out, tickets never officially, unless they were like a very limited part they like withheld. Tickets I don't think ever officially went on sale for this show.
Wow.
So WWF was so popular at this point that they used to do separate tapings just for Sunday Night Heat. Like eventually they taped it before Raw. They used to tape Sunday Night Heat Sunday afternoon and then would be live to tape that night. So they did a right around Thanksgiving of the year before of 98. They did a Sunday Night Heat taping. It's like in November of 98 on like a Sunday afternoon. And one of the things they would say in the local commercials is, if you come to Sunday Night Heat, you're going to get a chance to buy tickets for WrestleMania 15. So if you came to Sunday Night Heat and as you came through you passed through the turnstile, they gave you this piece of paper and you could fill in how many tickets you want and put in like a check or money order or whatever and mail it in. And that's how you got your WrestleMania tickets.
And how you got it?
Yeah. And they sold out on those pre-orders.
Wow.
They sold out on those pre-orders.
Wrestling's hot. Like that's insane.
But the reason I bring it up with Test is this was like 5-6 months before WrestleMania, and there was a dark match before they started taping Heat, and the guy who won the dark match was Andrew Martin, and there's this tall blonde guy in pink shorts like Billy Gunn would wear, and it was Test. Like it was like 2 or 3 weeks later, he comes on the TV as Motley Crue's bodyguard, Test.
Was he legit Motley Crue's bodyguard? Was that a shoot thing?
No.
Oh, I didn't know if maybe that was that. Yeah. Test was. I didn't dislike Test. I thought he had a great look. I didn't think he was terrible in the ring.
Well, he must have been doing something right with his look because that man had some legendary conquests.
Yeah. But yeah. So Test and D'Lo are going to lose to it was Shenanigan City. They're like 14 people come running out. It was
very Vince Russo. PMS comes out because they were feuding with Ivory apparently, and there's a big distraction which leads to a really cool double team on D'Lo, which leads to Owen and Jarrett getting the pin. Unfortunately, Owen's last WrestleMania, and extra unfortunately, it would only be about 2 months after this that he would pass.
I thought for sure Deborah, unless she did and I just wasn't paying attention, I thought for sure Deborah was wearing the trench coat, so then eventually she can like unveil the outfit, and it never happened either.
No, I just think it was like, hey, why don't we just put her in a bikini with a pantsuit coat over it?
Yeah, it was, which is wild because the back of that outfit, there's not much to the imagination. Yeah, that
was par for the course for the Attitude Era. Yeah,
Deborah, wow, looking great. Actually, listen, we met Deborah in Hamburg.
Yeah,
still looks fantastic.
She does. Yeah,
I don't know how she didn't die that day because she wore like a.
Oh yeah, she's wearing like a.
She did the exact opposite of what she did that pay-per-view. I wish she probably wishes she was wearing that bikini at Hamburg because of how hot it was. But she had more layers on than anyone in the building, and I don't know how she didn't pass out.
Those Southern folk know how to handle the heat.
Yeah, it was I almost died. I went out to the car and almost died that day. And Deborah was in a 14-piece suit.
Yeah. She was dressed like a mummy.
Yeah, she legit
She was the Yeti.
Yeah, she had more layers than the Yeti on. All right, so then that match happens, and we get the final of the Brawl for All.
This is a special Brawl for All. The final was Bart Gunn knocking out JBL.
Yes, you're correct. This is the Bart Gunn. You did such a good job ruining an angle that we hated so much. We're going to reward you with a legit heavyweight boxing champion, and he's going to kick the shit out of you because we're mad at you.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
We're going to throw Bart Gunn to the wolves is what this is.
I'm going to be honest. If I'm Bart Gunn here and you pitch this Brawl for All and you're like, man, go for the brass ring. And he does, right? He goes for the brass ring. And then your reward is you get destroyed by Butter. Like, he could have died. Like, this could have been bad.
It was very, very close to $1 million baby incident.
Yes.
His neck hits the bottom
His
rope.
neck hits 2 ropes. Like, he's out cold. His eyes are crossed. Like, it was a scary knockout.
Yeah.
And it literally comes down to the fact that you just put a heavyweight pro boxer versus a guy who doesn't know what he's doing.
What's amazing
clearly apparent.
What's amazing with this is we almost got a rematch. Not in WWE though. Many years later, mid 2000s, Butterbean wound up doing a bit of MMA, and I think he fought like Genki Sudo. It was like a very gimmicky thing. Genki Sudo, if you remember him from UFC, was like a lightweight. He was like 155 pounds, and Bart Gunn did some MMA too under his real name. I think it's Mike Plotchek.
Yeah.
And there was talk about doing a Bart Gunn Butterbean MMA fight, and Bart Gunn had actually gotten into some training, and Bart Gunn probably would have been the odds-on favorite in that MMA fight, but it never happened.
Yeah. Well, listen, I think Bart Gunn under training probably would have done well.
Yeah,
he got
a crash course of training before this, but not enough to go in there with a real boxer.
Yeah, and Butterbean was like a 47-1 heavyweight champion at this time, like, and with like 36 first-round knockouts against people who trained to be a boxer.
Well,
like,
to be fair, a lot of those fights were against like weekend warriors. I'm not saying they weren't trained boxers, but he wasn't out there fighting like Lennox Lewis.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. What I really want to stress to pro wrestling fans is like this: pro wrestling is tough and it's hard and it's very difficult to do. But when people train to be legit fighters, even your worst fighter ever, right? So like everyone makes fun of CM Punk for going to UFC and getting killed, but realistically, the training that Punk has as a pro fighter, he would kill most locker rooms because he's a trained fighter. Like, just because, like, but when you take Punk,
there's more of a crossover now. Like a lot of guys do train as much now.
It's just not. They do. But it's so unprofessional. It's so unsafe. It's bad. What we witness on this pay-per-view is not good.
You're saying like he could have been hurt. Like if you go back to the actual Brawl for All, a lot of people did get hurt. In fact, Dr. Death Steve Williams got hurt against Bart Gunn when Bart Gunn knocked him out. Like Dr. Death. Because it was almost
tears
like
ACL or something?
Yeah, because this was a weird thing where it was like it was boxing, but you could also do takedowns.
Yeah.
And I think Dr. Death had like his leg planted like he was about to go for a takedown. And then Bart caught him and his leg is planted and the ACL just snapped.
Yeah.
Because the way his leg was
crazy. Bart Gunn comes out, never puts a glove to his head. Just keeps his chin way out there, and Butterbean cracks it, and he stands up, and then he cracks it again, and it's 36 seconds. We're out of here. We actually talked more about the fight than the fight actually happened.
Also, the final, as one of the judges, the final WWE appearance of Gorilla Monsoon.
Yes. So here's one of the things I did like about the Brawl for All. We got to see Gorilla Monsoon, which I'll take that all day long.
And a thunderous ovation for Gorilla and really his hometown.
Yeah, and
he's from South Jersey.
We get the real Rocky out there.
Chuck Wepner, Chuck Wepner.
Chuck Wepner. I want to say Bill. Sorry, Chuck Wepner, the real Rocky, which not a lot of people know about. Like that story was stolen from him.
Yeah. And he did have a wrestling connection. They used to do a lot of boxer versus wrestler matches. I think we talked about it with Sputnik Monroe. We did one with Jersey Joe Walcott. But one of the more famous ones in the late 70s, early 80s was Andre the Giant did one with Chuck Wepner. After that Ali fight, they did Andre against Wepner in a boxer versus wrestler match.
Yeah. Another great appearance at Brawl for All. Dr. Frank Ramascavage.
Yes, Dr. Frank tending the Bart Gunn. one of the big reasons he wasn't seriously hurt is because Dr. Frank was right there to tend to him and gets called out again.
He plucked one of those magical mustaches off and and it just healed him.
That's what doesn't happen anymore. He ran out. He saved so many people that he ran out of mustache.
Yeah, God,
it was a finite resource.
Yeah,
But it's always good to see. It's always good to see the Dr. Frank cameos, and it's always good to hear them call out Dr. Roma Scavenge is there checking in on.
Yeah, they never do that ever anymore.
No.
Yeah.
Well, most places they run, they don't need a ringside physician, but and most of the time now, they don't do stupid shit like this or the Hell in a Cell where you need a ringside physician.
Very true.
So
very true.
you don't really have the opportunity.
Now we just do the stupid shit in the indies and book them.
Yeah. WWE's smart. Now all the indies do the stupid shit.
All right, then I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I have it written down here unless he appeared earlier in the night. But first, Kevin Kelly.
I thought you were talking about the San Diego Chicken. After the fight, the special referee is Vinny Pazienza, who was a famous boxer, and the San Diego Chicken. They call him the world famous Chicken because they don't call him San Diego Chicken anymore. But he comes out and dances around, and he's playing around a little too much with Vinny Pazienza, smacks him on the butt. Vinny Pazienza has enough and just knocks out the San Diego Chicken, which is supposed to be a thing because that's supposed to be the world's most famous man. Guys like, get out of here. The Philly Fanatic's better. So they knock out the San Diego Chicken, and all is right in the world. But we won't see. That's not the last we'll see of the San Diego Chicken.
Not the same guy in the chicken suit, because that bump was good. That was a good bump. It was a good flat back bump.
Yeah.
That was a trained person.
Yeah, that was probably like one of the Hardy Boys or something.
Probably was. And then we're gonna get Big Show versus Mankind here.
Yeah, I think Kevin Kelly did do a backstage interview here beforehand. They did do a recap of the Mankind Big Show brawl, and I think there might have been an interview with not the Big Show, excuse me, the Big Show Paul White.
Yeah, Ryan Vox said they had to use 2 chickens that night. Had to have. That costume was a swap. But Big Show and Mankind, not a barn burner, but exactly what it should have been to continue a story, because essentially the winner, if Mankind loses, he's not the special guest referee later on tonight in the main event.
Yeah, whoever wins is the guest referee, I think is the stipulation.
One of the things that I said to Lily while watching, I was like, look at how Mick takes bumps. Like, so one of the first bumps he takes, you know how like when you fall, you try to like grab onto something, or the person looks at where they're going to fall, aims their hands towards it and falls into it. Mick just throws his body, and wherever it falls, it falls. He takes a bump into a set of steel stairs, hits backwards, flips over the steps, doesn't even care where his head lands, and he's
hitting backwards to get all the surface area. He's taking a bump, like he's taking a horizontal bump.
Yeah, but some people hit the stairs knees first and then flip over. He hit it backwards and then just dumped himself. Like the bumps that man has, and in a match that meant nothing, he went out there and sold
WrestleMania. It means something.
Yeah, he went out there and sold it like it was his. Like he treated it like it was his mania. Like he went out there and went ham, and it was only for, let's see, I forget the time on that one. I had it. I remembered 6 minutes and 50 seconds, and it's 6 minutes and 50 seconds of Mick just putting on a bump clinic.
And this is actually the first pay-per-view match for the Big Show.
Yeah,
he debuted at St. Valentine's Day Massacre, which was the pay-per-view before this.
Yeah, and Mick will win via DQ.
Yeah,
but he will be sent to a hospital, which was actually said hospital by Vince McMahon himself.
Weird like that back then.
Yeah,
like Vince didn't get weird until a little bit after this.
Yeah, but then Vince and Paul White, Big Show have a little words. There's a punch involved.
Vince is upset because Paul White got disqualified, and that means Mankind is not going to be the ref, even though he's so beat up, he's getting taken out. Theoretically, he's still the ref for the main event, and so Vince is so incensed at Paul White that he messed this up, that he's getting in his face, telling him he's a nobody, he's nothing. He owns him. He slaps him, and that was it. And he gets the big right hand and knocks Vince out. And gets arrested.
He gets arrested. So then we're going to go to an IC title match versus the Road Dogg, Val Venus, Goldust, which was with Ken Shamrock's sister and the Blue Meanie.
Ryan Shamrock, yes.
We got to touch on Ken Shamrock's sister for a second, and then Ken Shamrock, obviously, in the match. Let's talk about Ken Shamrock's sister real quick.
Yeah, Ryan Shamrock, yes. So she was brought in. She was a dancer, I think from Houston, I want to say. Or I forget where they were, but they would scout the local gentleman's club for talent around this time, especially when The Godfather gets gets pretty big because that's where they found the hoes. Like the hoes were usually women who worked at a local establishment. They would just bring them in as extras.
What do you think she did that was so good that made her an on-screen character for that long?
I think they just wanted to. It's probably one of those things where they wanted to use her like once or maybe twice, and then because this was a point, I want to say maybe they had stopped doing this by now, but there was a point a while in the Attitude Era where they would tape 2 Raws in one night. They would have a live Raw, and then they would tape the Raw for the next week later.
Yeah.
So it might have been a thing.
I would be interested to hear her story today after all of the stories that are coming out.
Do you know the most interesting thing about Ryan Shamrock at this time?
Mm-mm.
One of the people she was dating.
Who's she dating?
I don't know if it was at this point, but at some point during her run, she was dating Ken Shamrock.
Oh, she was legit dating Ken Shamrock.
Yeah. They're not really related, but yeah, she dated Ken Shamrock for a bit.
Got you. Yeah. So she comes out. This match is what it is. It's nothing crazy, but interesting rule set. So it's 2 men in only, but it's an elimination style fatal 4-way. So it's not all 4 contenders in the ring at the same time. And we're gonna get the Road Dogg to win this one. I don't think there's anything absolutely crazy about this match. Val Venus, every time I see him back in the day, Val Venus, he was in amazing shape, dude. Like he was like minus the stupid gimmick, like the porn star gimmick.
That gimmick was over though. That gimmick was very over.
It was insanely over. And the voice was so annoying, but I forgot how deep it was in Girdle.
And he wasn't a complete crazy person at that point yet.
Yeah, he wasn't a right-wing conspiracy guy, or a right-wing political guy.
But he was always like very libertarian, but he went like off the deep end.
Yeah, but what did he say? If I win the IC title, ladies, don't you worry, because that won't even keep the Big Balboski's pants on. Was the quote.
He was an interesting character.
Blue Meanie gets an opportunity to be ringside too. Philly boy got a chance to be out there in front of the Philly crowd.
Well, that
worked his ass off.
That Sunday Night Heat taping I was talking about earlier, that was where Blue Meanie debuted.
Really?
He made his WWF debut in Philly. Yeah.
Nice. Good for him.
So just thinking back to Ryan Shamrock, this wasn't her only run. She didn't last long. She did get fired, and then she wound up in WCW for a little bit. She was Symphony. She was there was a character called the Maestro who was previous to that. He was Gorgeous George the Third, and they hired him because he owned the rights to Gorgeous George, like the Gorgeous George name. And there was talk that Randy Savage wanted to have his brother, Lanny Poffo, was signed to WCW. They wanted him to do some kind of Gorgeous George gimmick, but it wound up just being a name for his then girlfriend, who was his valet as Gorgeous George. And then they broke up, and she married Doyle Frankenstein from the Misfits. And for a while, she was called Gorgeous Frankenstein.
I love that. We're going to get a match inside of a match. Kane's going to come down to the ring.
Yes.
And then get attacked by the chicken.
A running gag here that would last one more WrestleMania after this, but go ahead.
So a chicken comes down and he attacks Kane from behind. Kane fights off the chicken and pulls the head off, and it's legendary Philly Pete Rose, who I guess previously tried to fight Kane before this.
So this started at WrestleMania 14. And WrestleMania 14, Pete Rose, it's in Boston. And Pete Rose is the guest ring announcer for Undertaker against Kane. And he's just healing on Boston it was a weird way to do it, because he's healing on Boston. He's talking about, like, I left tickets at Will Call for Bill Buckner, but they went between his legs. How about it? And he's just doing all these heel things. City of losers, because you could still say that about Boston in 1998. Wow, times have changed. So then Kane comes out and tombstones Pete Rose at WrestleMania 14, but that's a babyface thing. But Kane tombstone Pete Rose. So yeah, this is like Pete Rose's revenge, but it is weird because he's most famous for being a Cincinnati Red, but Pete Rose did have a few good years and won a World Series. To the point of WrestleMania 15, the only World Series the Philadelphia Phillies ever won was in 1980, and Pete Rose was a big cog in that. It was Pete Rose, Mike Schmidt. They were like the 2 big position guys. So it's like, yeah, Pete Rose would be more of a baby face in Philly, even though Kane is not. No, Kane is a heel here.
Yeah, Kane is the heel, and he comes out with China. Well, China doesn't come out right away, but he's with China. China's with him.
the thing here was, I guess, that Kane was like kind of sweet on China.
Yeah.
Like they were he was like had a thing for China, but China was kind of being held captive, for lack of a better term, by the corporation.
Yeah.
It was a very convoluted storyline.
Triple H comes out and attacks Kane from behind. We get a match. I do agree some could have been shaved off, but real quick, Road Dogg match 9 minutes 47 seconds. This Kane and Triple H match going to go 11 minutes 33 seconds.
Felt like 30.
Yeah, but I thought the whole card flew by. I thought it was really, really fast. I think right when the matches were starting to like take off, they're like over.
Yeah.
But this one goes on, and then Kane gets betrayed by China. China and Triple H are together once again.
Yep.
She loves them.
Reunited.
DNX reunited. They're
what
in
could
love
possibly go wrong?
Yeah. I mean, listen, you brought DX back together, who would are like the baby faces of the company, and this is a big moment.
The baby face of the company is going to be a little later tonight, but they're a strong number 2 baby face of the company.
Yeah, they're very over. Like, why? Let's DX and China together. That's a moment. Let's roll with it, right? You can't drop the ball on that.
No.
Here we go. But anyway,
somebody's got to be the new number 1 heel, but we'll get to that.
Yes. So then we are going to get to another singles match. Sable versus Tori.
Is this really a match?
Jesus Christ. It was so bad. So bad. Sable sucked.
This is toward the end of Sable's run as well. And Sable was so over that they thought, because people thought she was hot.
She took her boobs out one show?
Yeah. Well,
it's essentially what it was.
Yeah. But
so,
yes,
real quick, I'm going to throw it to Lily. So there's a fashion take here. Sable's wearing hot pants that are smashing her butt cheeks down, and she's like, "Why?" Like, and she's not. We're not sexualizing it, but she's like, Sable kind of has some cheeks. Like,
let me say it the way I was going to say it.
Yeah.
Let me say it the way I said it. What I said was worst fashion of the night, and my reasoning behind that is she's got cheeks and they're being smushed down. It's not that they're covered, because there's still enough popping out, but they got those pants so tight that she's looking like a busted can of biscuits, and it's unnecessary. They're flattening it. They're losing the shape to it.
Well, you have to realize this. In this time frame of the 90s or late 90s, having a big butt was something you were made fun of for. Molly Holly
a little bit later, Molly Holly was like,
Sable was trying to prevent the fact to show everyone that she had some cheeks. You know what I mean? Her gear was to try to hide that. It was very much a T industry and not an A industry.
Right.
Yes. So I wanted to point that out to her, that female wrestlers would get made fun of if they had. Butts. And now in today's wrestling, it's like the more please. Everyone's like, yo. Right. Cheek it out. Everyone's cheeked out.
Sky Blue has made a career out of it.
Yeah. I love her thing where she's like, of course I'm a female wrestler. People don't recognize me when I wear pants.
Right, yeah.
But this match is terrible. Sable has the charisma of 0. She just keeps doing this like...
Yeah, this was this weird...
She's dancing like Sable. D from Always Sunny.
Yeah. This was this weird heel Sable. Sable was gone pretty soon after this.
Thank goodness. It seemed like Tori didn't want to wrestle her.
Well, it was a weird thing. So that was maybe storyline based. Like Tori had a background. Like Tori wrestled in Japan. Mm-hmm. There was a women's promotion called the LPWA. She was their champion. But she had been kind of off the map for a little while. But it was more storyline. Like she was like a stalker. They did this a lot better a few years later with Trish and Mickie James.
Yeah.
A lot better, and Trish and Mickie James were a lot more talented, all respect to Tori, than Sable and Tori.
Yeah, Tori had a lot of potential, but she was in an era where people didn't take women's wrestling. And the only two other good people, like Jackie was good, Ivory was good. Like there was good females there, but they weren't utilized as talent. Yeah.
And you didn't have a Fit Finley to kind of oversee the division and make sure the matches were laid out well and things like that too.
Crazy thing here, Steven says, why the fuck would you give Sable a power bomb?
That was like her thing. That was her thing. She did it to Mark Marrow.
Like but like if you're in an industry where women can't take that move and you're barely trained, it was an interesting choice for a finisher.
Well, I mean the power bomb, a lot of the onus on the power bomb is on the person getting the move, which Like you can essentially power bomb yourself.
Yeah.
So that's maybe part of the reason.
Who we just watched literally just power bomb themselves. It was just recently.
It was Rhea Ripley.
Rhea essentially powerbombed herself with Nia Jax. She literally did a sit up and said powerbomb me, like, because Nia she could, because they were both big strong girls. Yeah.
Let me just bring my abs right up to your nose and you do the rest. Okay.
Yep. And then just slam me on my neck. But yeah, it was a rough match. I don't think there's anything else we could talk about.
Yes, and Sable. Yes, like Sable's definitely on her way out. Oh, Nicole Bass comes in.
Nicole Bass comes out. Yes. How could we forget Nicole Bass?
So that was the finish.
It's Nicole Bass from the Howard Stern show. Howard Stern getting some love.
Vince Russo was so obsessed with the Howard Stern show that he probably lobbied hard for this. Like they brought in like Fred the Elephant Boy, they brought in Crackhead Bob. They brought not for like long runs, but they would put them with like the oddities if they were.
Is that why Beetlejuice was in TNA when he was there?
Probably more likely. Like
that makes sense.
But Vince Russo, like when he was in WCW, brought in Gary Coleman, and like Jeff Jarrett broke a guitar over Gary Coleman's head, and Gary Coleman was wearing a hat, and then when he fell down after the guitar shot, his hat came off, and you could see the big wadded up tissue paper they had in the hat to kind of cushion the bump a little bit. WCW. But the other thing that's happening here is Sable's still very popular, but it's kind of waning. That's why they turned her heel. Because people are starting to kind of forget about Sable, and Deborah is starting to become the big sex symbol.
I can see why. Deborah was killing it that night. So we're gonna get another title match. At least the titles are being utilized in WrestleMania. That's good to see, right? So we're gonna get, and of course, everyone who has championships at this point in time are all well deserving. Like Shane McMahon as your European champion. This
was Shane's first like match of substance too. Like. Especially on the pay-per-view.
I want to say this. It wasn't a terrible match.
No, there was a lot of smoke and mirrors, and Shane always worked hard, especially when he was younger. And X-Pac was very good.
And X-Pac are going to wrestle. And we're like, oh, boy, this is going to be great. It's Shenanigan City, but where's DX? They're taking forever to get down here. It doesn't make sense.
They got overbooked. Yeah, the Mean Street Posse is at ringside. They're Shane's real-life friends. I don't know, did they have Julie Hobbs at this point, who was the non-friend? I think it was just Rodney and Pete Gas. Yeah.
No, there was 4 of them there, but
I think they were all like really Shane's friends.
Yeah, but the whole match, you're like, why is DX letting them just do this? Like, no one's coming out, and then eventually Triple H comes out and China comes out, and they turn on X-Pac.
Yes.
So DX is back together for one promo with Kevin Kelly.
That was the tease. Yeah, they did do a backstage promo in between, but it was like, oh, teasing, we're gonna get that back, and then kick wham pedigree. This is the birth of the game. This is a very significant moment. This is the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
Like he morphs into that right after this.
How much longer? Is this when we get Kane and X-Pac as a tag team for a little bit?
Yes, because DX continues to splinter. Not long after this, Billy Gunn turns heel as well. And because they had a big plans for Billy Gunn won King of the Ring this year. He was King Ass. And it led to the... It led to one of the all-time great Rock promos, because this year at SummerSlam was when they did the Rock and Billy Gunn, and that's when you get the infamous Billy Gunn Rock promo, was like Billy Gunn's gonna pray when he sees the Rock, and he's gonna say, "Oh dear God," and it's basically the Rock as God saying, "Bob, but my name's Billy. It doesn't matter." It's one of the all-time great Rock promos.
Next matchup here. We're going to get The Undertaker in a Hell in a Cell match.
The worst Hell in a Cell match ever.
Boss Man.
The worst Hell in a Cell match ever.
Here's some positives to this match.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite Undertaker looks.
This is the worst Undertaker ever was. The look is fine, but
I love the look. I like the devil goatee.
That's fine.
I like the hair in the top knot, but the hair's still down.
Do you like the Undertaker logo where you can see a little bit of his chest? Is that like,
I didn't mind it. I didn't.
You can go panning it and have like a little Undertaker symbol?
Yeah, I like the look of the Undertaker here. Like, it's probably, if it's not the classic Taker look, this is my second favorite Taker.
This is a point in time where people were really getting sick of the Undertaker.
I agree. I can see why. It was bad. Boss Man, I thought looked cool in the all black. I'm always been a Boss Man, Mark. I've always been a fan of Boss Man.
I like the old Boss Man. I never liked this. I take that back. I did like this Boss Man in retrospect, looking back at stuff a little later than this.
Yeah.
When he was just that over the top evil heel. You know me. I love like the guys who fully commit to the bit.
Yeah.
And Big Boss Man was just fully committing to being such an awful guy after this. Like,
Dude, he was good at spinning the nightstick, though. He legit made you believe he was a prison guard somewhere.
Later this year is when he kidnapped Al Snow's dog Pepper, and then he fed Al Snow pepper steak.
Oh,
Doesn't
he steal the Big Show's dad from his funeral?
The Big Show's dad dies, and he makes fun of him for it. He finds out that it wasn't really his dad. He's like, "You're a bastard, Big Show. You're a bastard." And
the shot is Big Boss Man pulls up in a car, attaches a chain to the casket, and drives away, dragging the casket, while Big Show, 7 foot tall Big Show, jumps on the casket and is riding it like a fucking bodyboard while it's being drugged through a cemetery.
And it's a promo for the WWF title. And Vince Russo wasn't even there at this point. He's gone. You can't even blame Vince Russo.
Amazing. But let's put this on a level of 1 to never. Well, you think they'll ever recreate this bit ever again?
No. It was
It
was bad. It was
what a choice.
We can look back on like how funny it is, but it was bad.
But is it symbolic?
Yeah, they kept saying
no. Is this symbolic? No, he's literally hanging him. He's literally hanging him, Michael.
How do they write? So here's what I don't remember, because I'm a whiles away from this pay-per-view. How do they write Big Boss Man back in? You just killed him in front of a live crowd.
I think he just talked like this for a few weeks.
Really? He just talked weird?
My throat's really bad right now. I'm very...
He's dead!
I'm just doing this from memory, but I think he was... Yeah.
He was dead.
No, it was symbolic. It was symbolic.
But was it symbolic? Is it symbolic?
I think it might be symbolic. So if you never watched the show, Michael Cole asks if this was symbolic about 72 times.
Yes.
When a guy is literally hanging.
Yeah. The whole time he kept saying her, but they're not saying who her is yet, right?
Yeah, that was the prelude to this match, the tease to this match was that Undertaker was, there was like a heel versus heel feud. He feuded with Vince because Vince kind of goes babyface shortly after this, but only for a little bit of time. Yeah. Because it was all an elaborate ruse by Vince for some reason, because wrestling didn't have to make sense back then, even less than it does now. So they would talk about, like, I'm going to your house, even her burning a teddy bear. This was all to very shortly after this, they introduced Stephanie McMahon to WWE.
They're going to kidnap Stephanie.
Yeah, so the very next pay-per-view after this is Backlash, and it's Rock and Austin in the main event. And I think this is the point where
this is debut Stephanie, and then Stephanie's on camera for a while. She marries Triple H.
No, that was later. That was later this year.
Yeah, but I'm saying
there's a lot.
At what point did Stephanie then get augmentations and then turns into like Stephanie?
When she
like
Jericho
was like, when did you get boobs?
That was like 2000, 2001. That was when she turned heel. 99 was
the year to get a boob job, because pro wrestling was all about it.
I think it was her choice, but
Broad Burgundy, I don't believe you.
99 was the year of babyface Stephanie. 99 was the year of babyface Stephanie. So she debuted shortly after this, and they're trying to protect her and everything.
It's so crazy to look back at WWE and Vince stuff now and today, and you're like, oh
yeah. So
yikes.
So the classic ending shot of Backlash, because is that Vince is freaking out, and he tells Stephanie, go get in the limo. So Stephanie's in the limo, and the panel between the driver and the limousine goes down, and the Undertaker's a driver, and he turns back and goes, "Where to, Stephanie?" And she just screams, and that's the end of the show.
It's good ending.
The next night they have like a dark wedding where Stephanie is on, like, basically crucified on the Undertaker symbol in the ring.
That was a big thing. Everybody was getting crucified. Stephanie was on that thing. Austin was on that thing. Yeah.
Yeah. She's in a black wedding dress. And like they're doing this whole thing and nobody can stop it. And finally Steve Austin comes out to stop it. And like Vince McMahon has to reluctantly thank Austin, even though Vince was the one that set the whole thing up, because he turns out to be the higher power like 2 months later.
It was me, Austin.
But that's how we got the great wrestling stable, the Union.
Yeah. ABJ, what's going on for your plans for Mania? As of right now, I'm still up in the air. If I'm trying to find work, so if I get a new job, probably zero plans. If I don't find anything by Mania weekend, I will at least be at the Wednesday and Thursday shows for Labor of Love. I'll be at those 2 shows, and that's pretty much my plan. And then come home and watch Mania with you guys on a watch along on the stream. All right. So yeah, the Brood comes down.
Yes.
Throws
All
a
three,
noose down.
Gangrel, Edge, and Christian.
Yes, all three come down. They throw a noose down.
Quite the WrestleMania debut for Edge and Christian, huh?
Yeah. They don't even like zoom in on them. They keep the wide shot the whole time. You can't even see Christian.
Although Christian is one of the very few people who won a WWF title on his main roster debut.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. So they come down, they drop the noose goes in, Barbera hits the button, the cage rises, Big Boss Man is hung by his neck.
You can clearly see it's clipped to something under his vest, though.
Yeah. It was done. I thought visually it was done pretty well.
Yeah,
and they
Boss
cut the
Man
lights.
sold it very well.
Yeah. The shaking at first, I was like,
yeah,
Jesus.
and he just goes limp.
Yeah. He's dead, but he comes back, and Ryan Vox says he comes back and goes after Al Snow like it never happened. And then we get to our main event. Triple H, I'm sorry, not Triple H. Vince McMahon comes down. There's one and the same at this point. Triple H comes down, and Vince comes down. I'm all over the place. Vince comes down. He's going to be the special guest referee, but here comes the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, for another guest appearance here tonight. And he says the only person that can make that rule, because if you read the bylaws,
Vince is saying he's going to be the referee.
Shawn can appoint that, and it's not you. But he does say no one from the corporation can come down the ringside except you. I'll let you come down, Vince. Which is weird.
Company,
yeah. It was just dumb. It was really stupid. And then Mike Chioda comes down, and they treat Mike Chioda like he's not a referee on commentary. Like, why would he be there?
Why not Hebner? Where's her role?
I'm gonna be honest. I looking at like commentary, and I know it had its place, and I know it had its time. I didn't like Attitude Era commentary. Like, I thought Michael Cole did the best he could, but you could definitely tell he's being told everything what to do and what to say, and he can't be himself.
A lot of the time,
the King's annoying as fuck, and Jerry Lawler and the King in this match bothered me. They weren't like, it wasn't
Jim Ross and
Jim
Jerry
Ross
Lawler,
and the King. I didn't like it.
Jim Ross was actually the guy that was usually in Cole's ear at this point.
I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. But yeah, we get this matchup. It's a fine matchup, but it only goes for 16 minutes.
Well, it's a 2.5 hour show with 10 matches.
Not one match goes over comes close. Like today's times, like 20-minute matches, like you're guaranteed a main event's going to be like a 22 minute match. Like 16, almost 17 minutes for the main event here. It flies through. We got Austin, and then everybody's involved, and then Mick Foley makes his return from the hospital to count to 3.
The Spirit of 76, baby. Here comes Mick Foley.
Yep.
A very rare Spirit of 76 for a referee.
Yeah. And Mick Foley's gonna make the 1, 2, 3, and Stone Cold wins the title. He leaves the ring, throws the title back in the ring, because that's like Stone Cold's thing where he just beats the shit out of the championship.
To be fair, he did. This is after they reintroduced the Smoke and Skull belt. He had like a custom title.
Yeah. And then
I never liked that giant pie plate hubcap title that they had at this point.
Yeah.
Never liked it.
Then he beats the shit out of Vince, and then leaves, and then the pay-per-view goes off the air.
Austin must pose.
Anything about this matchup that does anything for you? Any Rock moment here that, like, between those two, I thought they put together a fine match.
Yeah. It's always fun when Rock gets on commentary. That was a great bit, especially when it was a heel.
Yeah,
it was always a great bit because he would sell while he was on the mic.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is the other thing this is known for is Steve Austin's vest got lost in the luggage, so he came out in a t-shirt.
Yeah,
he was not very happy about that
because he didn't have his cool vest. And then Earl comes in to celebrate with Steve.
I think there was a thing where like maybe Earl got fired. Maybe that's why it was Kyoto. Like Earl got fired or Earl was suspended or something like that. So that may be why they did that.
Yeah. Henry says, how does the manager come in and tell the owner what to do? Because they needed another spot for someone to show up.
Yeah.
Because it's Mania and more people have to come in. But yeah, so Sean made
Vince Russo, so it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, nothing on this show made sense. Sometimes too much is too many.
If you watch enough Vince Russo book stuff, you just want to go on the Amazon and buy like polyester suits and a tennis racket. That's what Vince Russo does to you.
Yeah. I get that, but I also he drives me crazy because nothing on TV is ever good. Because I ain't booking it, god damn it. But yeah, so it's bad, it's rough. It's not one of my favorite pay-per-views, I'll be honest with you. everything's no DQ, everything's hardcore, everything is nothing happened in the everything's nothing in the ring, everything's all over the place. It's a mess. It's fine for, I guess, at that time, but in retrospect, I don't know if I watched that back then with the mind I have today. I don't think I would have been a fan of that company.
Yeah, but Teenage BP had a good time at the FU Center that night. I know that much.
Yeah. I mean, listen, from a fan perspective, they scratched the itches for the fans. Like, maybe the smart fans are like, that none of that made sense, but from a fan perspective, and you're a kid and you're edgy and you like
Austin won the title. How could you be upset right now?
Yeah, you're gonna leave there.
I'm mad about that, but
yeah, you're gonna love this pay-per-view if you have that nostalgia Attitude Era itch. Like, I go back and watch old Attitude Era, I'm like,
it doesn't age well.
It does not.
A lot of old ECW doesn't age well, but yeah.
Agreed. We tried watching old ECW and I was like, this is bad. Like, this is bad. I appreciate it for what it was, but holy Hannah, like, people like when people say to me, they're like, today's wrestling is nothing like it was back then. Back then was so much better than it is today. And it's like, I actually like today's wrestling better. Like, I enjoy today's product. Even when I complain about today's product, I think the talent is better in-ring physicality, talent-wise, athleticism. Everyone's really good. They don't get the same storytelling, and they don't get to do like the stupid Jerry Springer storytelling, but like, it's fine. It's still like WB is very still geared towards children, so you got to work with what you got there. But I mean, like, I still think it's better. Like, I'm being honest. I appreciate today's wrestling more.
The characters are better then. They were more larger than life, but then again, it was also younger. So
yeah,
part of it is you too. It's not just the product; it's also you. So you have to look in the mirror when you're talking about that.
Yeah, absolutely, totally agree.
Like, maybe I just miss being a kid, and that's the problem. And
maybe I gotta
maybe I'm old and cynical, and that's why I don't like
everything
wrestling
sucks
now.
when you get older.
Yeah.
Yeah. So overall, pay-per-view is fine. I'm glad we did it. Mania is when?
Mania is April 6th and 7th.
So we do have, I don't want to overload Mania.
The weekend of Mania is going to be tricky because I am going to be down in that area the whole weekend.
Okay. So maybe we'll take that week off. We might do that.
So we have, if we're taking that week off, we have 1, 2,
4,
3 more episodes.
3.
If we're doing Sunday, the 10th, the 17th, and the 24th, and the 31st. You're right. 4.
And the 31st. What we can do is maybe we can meet off air and record one and air it that week, and just it's not like live, it's just pre-recorded. Maybe we'll do that. But we do have some ones. So we have Oli, Dick Crusher, Dick the Bruiser. Do we do another review of Mania before Mania?
We can throw one more in. 3 sounds
possibly throw one more in. Well, let's figure out exactly what that one's going to be now.
Oh, here comes the randomizer. Oh no!
Let's randomize this right now. We'll do one more rando.
Please no 2. Please no 2.
Unless everyone in the chat can all come together. Yeah, we're gonna ask the world to come together here, and we're gonna see which ones everybody in the chat. Maybe we can get people to come together on a collective Mania. What are we up to? 40, right? So
39, because 40.
39. Okay. We'll let everybody in the chat throw some numbers out, and if we get a repeat of the same one, maybe we'll do it. If not, let's open up our number generator.
WrestleMania, or a really bad one.
25, but I think you guys did that one. Did we do 25 yet?
The 25, I don't know.
On 5 and 15.
5 and 15 are the only ones technically in the new era of the podcast of the show.
I don't even think back then we did 25. 25 is a decent Mania with a bad main event.
Yeah. All right, let's see what we get. 1 to 39. 39. I don't know.
I don't want to do last year's WrestleMania. Yeah.
So 38. We'll redo.
I don't want to do WrestleMania 38.
36.
That's the COVID Mania.
Yeah, we're not doing that one.
That's
come on.
11.
11's not very good, but it's short. So 11. Here's some benefits of 11. I can tell you the whole card.
Let's play this game.
So our opening match, I don't know about dark matches, but our opening match is the Allied Powers against Eli and Jacob Blue, the Blue Brothers. Then we go to a barn burner if there ever was one, which is going to be the Undertaker against King Kong Bundy. I don't know if I could do it in order. I don't know if I could do it in order like 15, but then I know
Only
it's
7 matches on this card.
Yeah. Then we have, I believe, the smoking. Oh no, then we have Razor Ramon against Jeff Jarrett.
Yep.
Is going to be there. Owen Hart and a mystery partner against the Smoking Guns. Oh, that's later.
Yep, that's one more match.
What was the third match then? Was the
a
third
streak match? A streak match that wasn't known as a streak yet.
I just said Undertaker and Bundy.
Oh, all right. So first one was Allied Powers. Second was Razor. Third is Taker.
Oh, Razor. I flipped them. Okay, Razor was second. Undertaker was third. Tag match was fourth, which means fifth, I believe, was Shawn and Diesel for the title.
No,
that was that sixth?
That was 6. Yeah.
Okay, so Brett and Backlund was fifth.
Brett and Backlund, and then the main
not
event
a good match.
Lawrence Taylor and Bam Bam Bigelow for the main event.
Not a very good WrestleMania, but if you want it, we can do it. Do you have one you would want to do?
Can we do the very first one?
WrestleMania 1.
Yeah, the very first one.
Sure, yeah, it's not
ever.
It's not great, but yeah.
I mean,
people are saying 25. Let's see what 25 is.
25 is Triple H and Randy Orton. 25 is one of the best matches ever at WrestleMania, Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker.
What else we got here? Let's see. Hold on.
Isn't that when Jericho wrestled like Snuka and Piper?
The Colognes, pre-match, Colognes and John Morrison and The Miz, CM Punk versus Christian, Santino versus a Miss WrestleMania Battle Royal.
Yeah, it's Santina. It's not Santino.
Santino wins. Chris Jericho defeats Jimmy Snuka, Ricky Steamboat, and Roddy Piper. Matt Hardy wrestles Jeff Hardy.
Awful.
Rey Mysterio versus Bradshaw. Undertaker versus Shawn. John Cena versus Big Show, and Triple H versus Randy. Yikes.
One good match on that show, but it's maybe the second best match in WrestleMania.
Bro, John Cena and Big Show got 14 minutes.
Wasn't that a 3-way? Wasn't like Edge in it or
John
something?
Cena, Big Show, and Edge. I just see that now. I was like, and then I see triple threat. Yeah. Holy fuck. I can see Edge and John Cena putting a lot of work in that match.
Michaels and Undertaker is
a half hour.
An all-time great match.
Yeah, I don't mind that one. I don't mind that at all. What else is the other one that was said in the chat?
There's like 17 said in the chat.
17?
Let's see. They said 25, 3, 19, 13, 20, 22, 25, 7.
Bingo.
Yeah.
19. Take your pick.
I'm just trying to see which ones are said like by multiple people.
19 is 25. A very good one. 25 seems to be the I don't know if it's the same person saying 25 over and over again.
People have said 25.
Let me just look at 19 real quick. I don't mind 25 for one match.
The CM Punk match you said too, I believe, was a Money in the Bank match, not just CM Punk and Christian.
Wait, was it 19, right? 19.
Yeah.
19 is Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar.
Yikes. But probably it was a great match. What do we got there? We got Hardy versus Mysterio, Undertaker, Big Show, Trish Stratus versus Victoria, Team Angle versus Team Rhino, or
a 4-way, I believe.
Yeah. Shawn Michaels and Chris Jericho, Triple H, Ric Flair, Hogan versus McMahon, Rock versus Austin, and I can't do another Rock versus Austin. We got to take a break there.
That's the finale of Rock versus Austin.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll figure it out. We still have another week. Let's give another week to stew on it. Maybe more.
Actually, if you want to see something that's very different, WrestleMania 1's not a bad idea because it's not a great show. I don't think there's like what I would call a great match on it, but it's historically significant and it's very different.
All right, we'll add it to the list. We'll do. It won't be next week. We'll maybe WrestleMania 1 will be the one we pre-record and do it on our own.
There you go. Yeah, that's a good idea.
We'll air that one. On WrestleMania week. So next week we're doing Dick the Bruiser, Bruised Dick, and Crusher.
Crush the bruised dick. Yeah, that's
crushing your dick till it's bruised.
There you go.
Yeah, perfect.
Suck it.
I'm gonna make you watch. I'm gonna make you watch some Crusher promos too.
Yes, please send me matches, send me promos, send me stuff so I can watch.
It's gonna be promos. It's gonna be We're gonna go to the saloon. We're gonna walk uphill. We're gonna fight in the saloon. We're gonna get a few dollies, about 250 pounds. It's so good.
I love it. That's what we're doing. Next week is Crusher and Dick the Bruiser, and then we'll come up with something the following week. But we have a list. We'll go through the list, or maybe we'll get some ones that go, or if something significant happens in between there. Probably do Oli before Mania too. I think that'd be pretty significant with everything going on.
And it ties into some history. Because we're talking Oli, we're going to talk about Georgia Championship Wrestling, Black Saturday, only taking over the Georgia territory. I think that's going to be more of the crux of that. We'll talk a little bit.
I generated a number one more time and I got 25.
Ironic.
I think the universe is trying to tell us that they want WrestleMania 25, but
yeah, we'll try to sneak 1 and 25 in before Mania because we'll figure something out. Yeah, got to be more Mad Dog Vachon stories. Maybe we throw that into. We'll see. But yeah, anything else, Brian? Before we close, you want to plug?
I think that's pretty much everything. Again, PPW next Saturday. Check it out if you're in the area. If not, Premier Streaming Networks. We talked about Enzo earlier on Premier Streaming Network. PPW Lights Out from last December. Enzo was on that show.
Yeah. And if you are listening and you're a member of PPW, I will be there with Brian at PPW, and I'll be doing 5 questions with ABJ. So let's get some recordings done. I have a pretty nice backlog of bunch. Your episode won't air for a while, but we'll get it done. Maybe if I record it, I'll do them in conjunction with each other. Like maybe do one Monday, one Friday. Like
you know who would be cool to get, especially if you're going to bring him back Banging Beers, is Chris, the owner of the building there, Chris White.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe I'll do 5 questions with him.
Illumination
5 questions and 1 beer.
There you go.
Love that.
Get some fun brewing in there.
Yeah.
1 question and 5 beers.
Problem is I don't have any money to go drink beers that night.
I got you.
We'll figure it out. I love the funk beers. They're so good. But yeah, we'll see you guys at next week.
Tell them BP said he'll give you a freebie.
Here's a question. What does BP stand for?
Brian Paddington Burke. Everybody knows this.
Yeah, his real name.
Yeah.
And if you want, Brian does have his own true crime podcast, Murder My Dude. They're a little bit on a break right now, but there's a lot of back content and a lot of really cool stuff there. So if you like murder mysteries or finding out who done it, or true crime, is right up your alley.
Got about 170 episodes backlog. Hopefully coming back a little in the near future. We'll see.
Yeah.
If you look up Murder My Dude wherever you get podcasts, you will find it.
And huge thank you once again to you guys for watching and tuning in and listen. The audio numbers are doing really well. Like obviously we're getting acknowledgments on the top Apple charts for plays. So thank you guys so much for listening over there and maybe making on your car ride to work or whatever it may be, and watching on YouTube. It means so goddamn much to us. And officially Tornado Tag is now a numbered episode part of the ABJ podcast. We're stuffing those numbers. We will be back again live on Tuesday night. I'm thinking I'm going to shoot for 9:00. I will be by myself unless someone joins in for a guest. I don't have anyone planned. I have someone maybe, but maybe not. But I'm going to be doing my first returning of Not Cool in High School. We'll be reviewing One More Time by Blink-182. I'm not exactly sure how to going about doing it yet. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to do it on the fly and find myself with this new show style where we're going to do pop culture reviews. I'm going to have guests on. I do have a list of guests of people who will be on there. I know I posted some, like I'm going to have Abs come on and we're going to review the movie Lighthouse, which is going to be, right. I'm excited to bring wrestlers in as guests, but not to talk about them as wrestlers, but to have them come in and do like,
sweet, yeah,
their favorite things. You know what I
mean?
Funny.
One of the coolest podcasts I ever listened to wrestling related. And I know we've been like kind of ragging on him, and I'm not a fan of his storytelling, but Vince Russo was on the old Wrestle Crap Radio podcast, and all they talked about was the old 1960s Batman TV show. And it was fun. It was fun.
It's cool to give wrestlers another platform to talk, that it's not just talking their careers.
Right. And it wasn't like, oh, Vince Russo, you did this horrible thing. It's like, yeah, let's talk about Batman and be nice to each other.
Yeah.
How about that? People treating each other like people.
And then then our first podcast interview will be on Thursday night with my boy Timmy Mingle, episode 115 that will drop. I'm still waiting for confirmation on the next week for my guest. If that guest pulls out, then I'll be reaching out to some people. I have a whole list. I do have do you want a little teaser of 2 weeks from now?
Let's do it.
Someone a PPW superstar, part of a trio. Maybe they'll be champions by the time he's on.
Oh, the champ
episode number to be announced. Gabriel Hodder will be on the ABJ podcast. Yeah, former tag team champ and maybe possible trios champions soon.
Hodder is super cool. I'm looking forward to that.
So I'm going to get to hear his story. He just recently did a podcast with my buddy James over in the UK about addiction, and he had some family members that went through addiction, and it was a really, really good interview. So go support that one. But yeah, so that's kind of what I have in the pipeline. I'm really excited. Out right now, interview at 111 with Cheeseburger, actually 112 with Cheeseburger. No, that one's wrong. 5 questions with Rembrandt is up right now. And then on Monday, 5 questions with Officer Ronnie Moses Moses, and those were both recorded at PPW. So huge thank you to PPW. I want to record more because I'm doing something different with my 5 questions when it comes to giving more love to the venues who accept me in. So if you let me come into your promotion, and even if I'm not working, I'll come in and get content, I will definitely put over your brand and your promotion and stuff like that. So with the thumbnails and everything. So just kind of keep your boy in mind if you're running a wrestling show and you want someone to come in to get content. I am looking to do more of that, to come in and be more of a content person and not so much commentary or whatever it may be. So even if your commentary table's full, bring me in. I'll get some interviews with your talent and put your promotion over, and we'll find ways to work with each other. But yeah, so that's all I got. We'll see you guys next time. Tornado Tag, we're out of here. We'll be back on next Sunday, hopefully.
Get me out of this place. It's dark.
Yeah, and someone get Brian, someone donate some money to Brian. Get him a goddamn light. We're out of here.
Thanks for watching this presentation. Like, share, and subscribe for more.
Real quick before we get out of here, also make sure you check out the Ben Franklin Connection. There is some exclusive merchandise if you want to support ABJ and that Ben Frank Connection. There's a brand new ABJ club. It's a Bullet Club inspired t-shirt. There's a DX shirt that just got uploaded. So if you want to support ABJ and grab some merchandise to keep him alive on StreamYard with the Ben Frank Connection, please head over there and support them. Links are below to support them, are also in my link tree under Ben Frank Connection. And huge thank you to them and the Opinion City Podcasts.